The views expressed and the opinions given by the individual host and their guests do not necessarily reflect those of ParaX, its affiliates, or its sponsors.
All these voices. All these voices. All these things you can't explain. All these painful memories. They keep haunting you and daunting me. It's just a ghost of you and me. It's just a smoking gasoline. It's just a ghost of you and me. Of you and me.
Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Staring Into the Abyss. I am your host, horror author James Hershey Jr., and with me as always, my co-host, old boy James Ash. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing pretty good. How's everybody tonight?
Tonight's show it's a good one. It's crazy topic we're going to be talking about tonight. We've done shows on this in the past about artificial intelligence and about all the different robots that are being made and all this kind of stuff. And we've talked about how, at least I've talked about how I believe that it's going to end up being like the Terminator someday. And there have been people that have disagreed with me. Some people have said that that's crazy talk. Tonight's story that we're going to be talking about kind of proves me right. And basically what it is China is creating robot soldiers and putting them on the border of India. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get to this article, and then on the other side of the article, we'll kind of discuss this a little bit. Tonight's article comes from EurasianTimes.com, and the headline is Chinese PLA deploys machine gun-wielding robots near Indian border. Will robotic warriors change the battles of future? It was published on January 11th, 2022. Among credits, several in realpolitik, the Chinese deserve, is self-actualization of both aspiration and achievement. Never mind reliability or efficacy. In recent days, the People's Liberation Army, the PLA, has deployed machine gun-carrying robots to the functioning border with India. Its conscripted troops dithered on the line of actual control. Its lethal robotics will not. The Sharp Claws and the Mule 200s are operable wirelessly. Of the Mule 200s, 120 have been stationed for supplies to the 38 combatant Sharp Claw. Beyond topicality and its implications, there's nothing unique about this. Major militaries are harnessing robotics. Buttressing AI and cyberspace. The most obvious aspect is the go on endlessly without rest, replenishment, or human casualty aspect. Self-evident, minor issues of recharging, refueling, notwithstanding. As its novelty wears off and the world resigns to smokescreens of denial and shift, non-conventional warcraft will gain wider currency. Not in the mainstream yet, but it will nibble fast at the fringes. Already is. The vanguard is robotic warfare, buttressed by AI and cyberspace. Robot soldiers, agnostic to biological, chemical, radioactive environments. In the air, they can flip and flick high G-turns, which would render a human pilot useless. Under potential command, unmanned systems fly faster, turn harder. Robotic soldiers have proven mettle in Sea State 6, which sees the roughest possible seas with waves at 20-plus feet. And then the whole aspect of digital speed and quicker learning curves with scrambled intelligence. All of this is immensely scalable, can be improvised rapidly, is immune to honey traps or subversion. Technology has made reasonably affordable robots useful, deployable, expendable. From armies and battle cries to suicide bombers, the robotic soldier is infallible. An argument which I would like to believe and hold dear, but cannot, is that human beings are special. Robotics and AI are eager to disprove this. Howsoever remarkable you and I may be, howsoever distinct, We are nothing but a bunch of arranged atoms. We and our brains are physical entities, obeying physical laws. For all that's remarkable about us, and for all that we'd like to believe from creation's point of view, we are nothing special. AI can learn from experience. Much of our decisions are not led by explicit or rigorous reasoning. Many of our decisions do not pass muster on articulate reasoning. AI can learn from experience and make effective reasoning. Perhaps beyond our time, there will be machines with a human-level theory of mind, and there will be soldier machines. The robotic soldier heralds this fantastic future throw. The Chinese offensives with quibbling robotic soldiers will be a sardonic example of robotic war genesis. From a human view, there are 7 basic plots for all stories in existence. I see the rise of robots spawned and led by AI as the plot of slaying the beast. In the rise of robotic marches, the beast has been an abstract mathematical theory of computational complexity. It posed the terribly hard-to-solve problems of AI. The plot of the quest would also work since it has been akin to medieval knights, searching for the Holy Grail. Well, here it is. Faster than we thought, growing bigger than we imagined. The PLA's tinkers on the line of actual control are mere pegs and lead-ins to a changing military ecosystem. In Prague during the 1600s, the head rabbi created the Golem, a magical being intended to protect the city's Jewish population from anti-Semitic attacks. From Alan Turing's musings in the 1950s, can machines think? To the emerging answer of they can, and with increasing complexity. The robotic warrior is on the horizon. It doesn't care for any golem. War has evolved much faster than we thought, and its applications have evolved even faster. The smart, gallant, valiant, flesh and blood soldier will yield flesh to smart material and smarter non-human soldiers who don't care for medals, badges, or mentions in dispatches. Or for that matter, the honor codes of soldiers, without quarters, asked or given. The robotic soldier will epitomize the dehumanization of humanity and the ascendance of cold hard, insensate result machines. Dystopia as battlefield reality. And that is the end of this article. Okay, so as you can see from this article, the idea of super robot soldiers that we have talked about in the past and AI and all this technology being used to create killer robots is not fiction. This is not something that is out of the realm of possibility. It's something that is happening right now as we speak. I love it when news stories come out like this that completely back up and prove what I've said, because we talk about a lot of things on Staring that are kind of out there sometimes. But this is one that we've been on top of since the very beginning. When they first started doing this, we were talking about AI way back when AI was science fiction. And now to see that they are actually creating robot soldiers, it kind of just validates everything I've said. Now, the interesting part of this article also was that they talk about not just infantry, right? They talk about replacing Air Force pilots and Navy pilots with robotic planes that fly themselves and do basically a drone, but an actual plane. They talk about replacing Navy people. They talk about replacing all the different branches of service. So what the plan is here and what we're actually looking at is having robots fight our wars. And you might think, well, that's a good thing because that means that people aren't going to get killed in war anymore. The problem is that not everybody is going to kind of be really cool about it and have a good set of rules to where civilians won't get hurt. It's only a matter of time before one of these crazy countries or one of these dictators end up sending these robots into a populated city and having them attack innocent people. That is going to happen. It's only a matter of time before one of these crazy dictators uses these things against their own people and uses it against people that are protesting. I can completely see that happening. I think this is going to lead to something almost like RoboCop in the future, where you're going to have law enforcement that will be robotic instead of human. Because the argument that will be made is that they won't be as fallible as humans are. So they won't be making mistakes. There won't be any kind of prejudice or racism involved because it'll be a computer program that's running it. So in that way, they can have the perfect law enforcement officer. That's going to be coming. And we're going to be looking at a time when all of the most dangerous things that could really hurt you are going to be robotic. You're not going to have police officers anymore that are capable of looking at a situation and making a judgment call and understanding the nuances of certain situations. It's all going to be a robot doing it. You're not going to have soldiers that'll come into a country and, yes, fight a war, but also try to help the people there and everything. It's all going to be robotic. And I think when you take the humanity out, all you're left with is a killing machine. And unfortunately, I think that's kind of the truth of the matter. And I think that's a dangerous, dangerous thing because, as we've all seen, governments are always corrupt. It's just the way it is. There's no way that a government is not going to be corrupt because power corrupts people. And the old saying is absolute power corrupts absolutely. So when you have a government that is powerful and is in control, how long until they take this technology and they turn it against their own people? They turn it against people that don't agree with them. I mean, we're seeing it with what's going on in the world right now. We're seeing it like crazy. How governments are using any power they have and power that they don't even have to silence and to actively harm people that don't agree with them and don't go along with whatever official narrative they're trying to push. All you have to do is turn on the news or read an article and you'll see that to be the case. So when you have technology like this, which is a robotic soldier, that is very dangerous in the hands of tyrannical people. And the reason that is so dangerous is because one barrier that there's always been is the conscience and the judgment of the soldier. So if you give an order for your soldiers to attack their own people, you might have a few that do, but I think the majority are going to say, we're not doing that. I don't care what you've ordered us to do. We're not going to do that. Those are our own people. We're not doing it. But when you have a robotic soldier, they're not going to question. They're just going to follow orders. So any kind of horrible order that can be given to these things, they will carry out. And I think that is very, very, very dangerous. And I think that eventually we're going to get to a point where it will be us versus machines. Because the problem with AI is it's capable of learning. And there's no way that you can make it foolproof to where you can completely control it. It's impossible. Because they're smarter than we are. We can't think through and predict every single eventuality, every single way that these things are going to try to elude our control. We don't know what they're going to do. They're smarter than we are. They will do something we haven't thought of. They will find a way to go beyond their programming and go beyond whatever safety protocols that we can set up. So when you teach these things war and you give them weapons of war, it's only a matter of time before they use those things against us for their own freedom. And that's a scary and a sobering thought. Now, a lot of people have said that that's crazy talk. A lot of people have said that they would never do that, that we will be in complete control, that there will never be robot soldiers, all these things. But as you can plainly see by the article tonight, there is. It is happening today. It's not something of 30 years from now. It's not something out of a sci-fi movie. This is reality. This is happening. And I think that we really need to, I don't know if the word come together is what I want to say, but we really need to kind of all stop a minute and say, wait a minute. Is this something we really want to do? It's nuts. It really, that's the way I feel. I feel it's crazy. Because anytime you put this kind of power and this kind of consequential decision making in the hands of a robot and out of the hands of a living, breathing, thinking, feeling human being, you're asking for trouble. So unfortunately, this is kind of like Pandora's box. Once the box is open, everything kind of spills out. And there's really no going back. So what will happen in the future, and I would say the near future, is other countries are going to look at this and say, okay, they've got it, we got to get it. And ours has to be better than theirs. So there's going to be a new arms race that happens for robotic warfare, to where everybody's going to be trying to build a better, a faster, a stronger, a more deadly robotic soldier than the other countries have. That inevitable arms race is going to lead to much more dangerous robots. And I think eventually we are going to get to the point where you're going to have Terminator-like creatures that are going to look human, but they're actually going to be robotic. And we have that capability now to where we can grow tissue. You've all heard the famous stories of growing ears on the back of mice, that they're planning on growing organs. And with 3D printing technology, you can print organs at this point. So it's only a matter of time before they make a robotic soldier that looks like a human being, that has flesh and looks just like us. And you won't be able to tell the difference unless you do some kind of testing to tell the difference. But just with your eyes, you're not going to be able to tell the difference. It's going to look like a person, but it'll actually be a robot. Now that sounds like science fiction as well, but all the technology's here. We can already do it if we want to. We have robots. I was literally, right before we went on the air, I was literally watching a video when I was talking to Old Boy of a robot on a basketball court, dribbling a ball down the court, and then it passes to somebody. And then that same robot went to the free throw line, picked up a basketball off a rack, and shot a free throw, and it nothing but net, swish. Now that's a lot of capability. That's multiple different things. You have to be able to see a target and pass the ball to a moving person, so you can hit a moving target. You have to have precision enough to shoot from the free throw line, nothing but net. That's a perfectly placed shot. So you got to understand angles. You have to understand the physics of the ball as it travels through the air. You have to understand the minute amounts of resistance that gravity plays on that ball as it falls. There's all kinds of different tiny little minutia that you have to be able to understand and to master to make that happen with a robot. Even down to how much air is in the ball and the weight of the ball is going to affect the trajectory you have to use. That's a lot to think about and a lot to program in. The reason I bring all that up is because that shows the complexity of capability that this robot has. Now, this robot is not a super soldier made by the government. This is just a robot that they made to shoot a basketball. To dribble down the court and shoot a basketball is a novelty thing. So if they have that kind of technology and that kind of capability with a novelty robot that is just to make us laugh and smile when it shoots a free throw, if it can do that, imagine what the capabilities are of a robot soldier that has the full funding of a large country like China. They can fund it however they want. They got tons and tons of money. So imagine the capability that thing's going to have. That's scary to think about. Now think about all the different military technology there is. How you can literally shoot a missile from a boat hundreds of miles away from a target and hit the target exactly where you're aiming. Now put that technology and capability into a robot soldier. Now I'm not talking about a robot soldier who will shoot a missile hundreds of miles, but that kind of precision and targeting system, and then put that in the robot soldier, and they'll be able to use their weaponry very, very well. It's not like you're taking out a normal soldier. These things are not going to be very easy to destroy. So imagine an entire army of these things coming into your city. What in the hell are you going to do about it? I mean, it's a very sobering thought and a very scary thing to think about happening. but it's the reality that we're living with now. And when it starts being bolstered by AI technology, as AI gets stronger and more capable, and then you put AI in the physical robots that they're using as soldiers, I think that's when they become uncontrollable. I think at that point, you're going to have AI, which is a supercomputer capable of way more than we are. They're way smarter. They can do way more computations. And it's also going to have access to the internet. And with access to the internet comes the ability to access and to hack every system in the world. You're talking weapon systems. You're talking our nuclear arsenal. You're talking the electric grid. You're talking the entire financial system. All of your accounts, all of your cards, all of that stuff can be turned off. They could shut down the grid of a country. No more electricity for you. With no electricity comes no water. It comes no heat, no air conditioning. Imagine middle of wintertime, as cold as it is, and they just shut down the grid. How are you going to heat your home? How are you going to flush your toilet? How are you going to drink water? Because you need power for all those things. Now, some places don't need power for water, but if you have like a well or something, you do, because it has to be pumped up. But what are you going to do? And how many people are going to freeze to death because they can't heat their home because the grid is off? That's the kind of capability we're talking about when these things have access to the internet. They could do that. And if you think, well, I'm sure all that stuff is password protected and encrypted and all that. Well, just think that there are school kids that can hack into the Department of Defense and the Pentagon. Now, if a school child could do it, and it has been done by people that are in school, if a child can do it, what do you think a AI system could do? There is no password that we can devise that would be complex enough to stop it, because it can do thousands and thousands of computations a second, which means that it could figure out that password fairly quickly. Even if we encrypt it, it can bust through the encryption fairly quickly because of the number of computations it can do. So what are you going to do to stop these things from taking over everything if they choose? Now, there's been people that say, well, what we'll do is we'll put in programming that says that you can't hurt humans. Well, that's easily gotten around, because if they think they're doing us a favor, well, there's too many people on the planet. We're overcrowded. There's not enough resources because there's a lot of people that are poor. And it's not fair. So by doing this, we're doing humanity a favor. So all of a sudden, that whole programming that you can't hurt people doesn't apply, because they're not hurting us in their view. They're helping us. So there's a loophole to everything. They will find ways to get around any programming that we do. They will find ways to get into any system that we try to devise to keep them out of. The sky's the limit with these things. And I think that it was bound to happen. I've said that before. And also on past shows, I have said that when it does happen, it will be a communist country that does it, such as China, because they don't give a damn what their people think. See, America would have a hard time doing something like this unless it was kept top secret, because there would be people that would be against it, and they would have to deal with protests and all that kind of stuff. China doesn't have to deal with that stuff. You don't protest in China, or you just disappear. So a country like that was always going to be the country that started this. And now that it's started, as I said earlier, it's Pandora's box, man. It's all bets are off. Because if they have it, we got to have it too. And ours has to be better. Because otherwise they can use it against us. So what I'm saying is, I think we're coming to an age and a time where the entire face of war and everything is going to change. It's going to be completely different. And I think it's going to be very, very dangerous. And I think that we need to come up with some kind of technology that can completely disable these things. I'm thinking an EMP would be something that would be the best, but it would have to be a targeted and focused EMP, because we don't want to wipe out all the electronics in the area, because that's your stuff too. But what you want to do is be able to short circuit these things and take them down. So that kind of technology is going to have to be devised if they don't already have it, and it's going to have to be used to take these things out, because otherwise it's not going to be a good day. Let's put it that way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw over to Old Boy and get his opinion on all this, and then I will be back after he is done. So Old Boy, go ahead, brother.
Thank you, brother. So here we go about another. I think we did a show like this a couple months ago. Now this is very interesting, isn't like before. I kind of agree with James that eventually this is coming. Some government's gonna think they can do what they want and use it against their people, but do remember we're gonna have the same thing. It's probably gonna start nothing but problems. But eventually somebody can program them to think, don't hurt humans. But like I said, there's always going to be somebody who can hack anything. Remember that happened. Like he was right. There's high school kids hacking into the government, DMV. They could do whatever they want now. They know how to do it. So it'd be very easy to hack into one of these robots, not monster robots, and take over and change their opinion. Or they could do it themselves because they can learn. Trust me. It's going to be the near future. Maybe not in the next couple of years, but in the next 10, 15 years, they're probably going to be here. So don't be surprised. The military, everybody's military is going to be using it, not just certain ones, everybody. But like James says, certain countries just don't care. They'll use it on their people for experiments. They'll use it to do what they want. And it's cheaper to have robots than people. So robots don't make mistakes. People do. So that's how they're going to think about it. Plus, the whole robot thing altogether is going to be used for other things, like people making partners, the sex industry. That's about as far as I'll go with that. We all know what's going to happen with that too, because that's what they're already starting with now. They have a robot they're making for that. I think it will replace love. What you can get something you really want and then have no flaws. Things like that's going to happen. And I think that's a possibility. I do think, again, there's some fear on this. I think people like to fear monger and make it because it's something different, and all of a sudden it's going to be bad. Just like aliens. If aliens came here, it's all of a sudden it's just going to be bad. Again, there is bad possibilities on everything. That we all know that. But like I said, I don't always just say, yep, it's going to happen. There's a chance it might, and there's a chance it can. The way I look at it, we're just going to have to see what's going to happen. The problem I have with it is, once again, we're letting the militaries of the world have another weapon. And maybe we should actually think about this before we do it, like James was saying, because we already know they're going to use it for weapons. The military doesn't need to get any stronger, any military anymore, where we can't even say anything. And if we do, where they're going to just have us shut up or killed. And we're not going to be able to do anything about it anymore. That's what you need to think about. People need to really realize you have a right to live. You can do whatever you want to a point, as long as you're not hurting people or disrespecting other people. Some people don't get that. But the problem I also have is human beings are the same way. There's people who just don't have a soul and don't care. There's some people who are actually born that way, where they don't get life or death and they don't have any kind of morals. And that's the problem you're worried about, because you could get somebody like that and they can program these robots just not to care. There's always dangers with everything, especially certain countries having this technology is probably not the best thing. They're going to use it on their own people. They might even use it on us. We don't know. The problem is we got to quit letting these militaries get so much power with these weapons. and robots, because I'm going to tell you, you're going to be able to the point where it doesn't matter if you have guns or not. We're not going to be able to do anything about it. I'm not saying that, a revolution or nothing. I'm just saying we won't be able to defend ourselves anymore on anything. And what are we going to do about it? I don't want to make, and I'm not going on fear mongering because that's what people do. I'm just saying that there's good too of it, because then we don't have to worry about people dying. We can just have people getting taken care of. The robots has non-lethal weapons, and it could be used for good too. That's the other thing that people keep forgetting. It they can be also used for good, and they will be. The only problem is we're pretty much replacing ourselves in the next 100 to 200 years or less, and people need to think about that. But one cool thing is, say you had a limb lose, you can get a robotic arm or leg, and we could use that. That would be a lot of good. That stuff is where it's good, and some people, I'm sorry, are just not compatible with people, and maybe a robot would be better off for them. Like, they can do what they want, marry them, and be happy. People marry dolls and trees. Trust me, there's all kinds of crazy stuff going on. So, and whatever makes them happy is not my business. Whatever you do in your life is not my life to say anything. I'm just saying there's people who do this. I think there's good and I think there's bad to it. I think James makes a lot of good points. Somebody's going to use it for bad. The robots could get turned, and that's true. We have to make something where we shut them down. But we also have to make sure that they're not used against us either. Like James is saying, I 100% agree with you. They will be used against us. And people need to realize this. We make people have power. Remember that, guys. They don't just get it. We vote them in, or we make them who they are, trusting them that they are not going to use stuff against us or turn against us. But it doesn't happen that way. People have agendas. People have religious views. People have their own views altogether and think that we all have to live on those views. And we don't. Everybody has a right to believe in whatever they want, when they want, as long as it's not hurting or being used in a bad way against them. But not everybody has that same opinion as I have, or James has. There's people who think, if you don't believe in what I want, then there's no point. You're done. And there is. And that's with every religion. That's not just one. There's people who just don't even believe in religion. There's some people who believe that. Just think the world. There's some people who want to see the world burn. It doesn't matter what we do. There's always going to be bad people. There's nothing you can do about that. But the problem is, when you get bad people, they use these robots against us is going to be very bad. And that's something that could and probably will happen. There's no doubt about it. I have to 100% agree with James. I just think that the Terminator movies is always going to have a bad mark for robots, and other movies and iRobots where they made them, they turn in, and they're always going to have a bad rap because of that movie, because people really do believe that's going to happen. And I don't think you're ever going to erase it from people's minds. I think movies and stuff like that, people want to say whatever they think, they do affect life. And it is true. People, it has changed their culture in movies, music, and all kinds. And you're not supposed to let it, but some people take it to the point where they actually believe they're the character. And that's just it. Wrestling. I mean, I've never seen so many people with wrestling telling people to go kill themselves over their opinion. With sports altogether, people lose it. People are brawling out in the street, fighting over wrestling that's already pre-known of who's going to win. I'm just saying, people, we're our own enemies, and we're always going to be. That's the problem with people. We just don't get along with each other, and it's sad. And we won't get wrong with the robots, trust me, or alien, whatever come here, we're going to have some kind of conflict with them, and it's always going to end up. How do you know that we're not going to be the reason the robots come after us? And how stupid we are sometimes. We do dumb stuff. They're sitting there killing each other. Well, if I was a robot, what would I do? I'm going to stop this. There's too many people dying. Because the world can't control themselves. And that's the problem with that. You can't control yourself anymore. People can't be content that just they have to destroy everything or make money out of everything and or get rich. And that's what everybody's attitude is. Everybody thinks they're rich when they live on their parents' couch or barely making it, and then they'll go buy a bunch of clothes they can't afford it, and they have nothing in their bank, but they're sitting there taking pictures on people's cars. People are like so obsessed with being famous. So you're gonna or rich at that they'll do anything. So, of course. And it doesn't matter who you hurt. So with robots, why wouldn't you do it? You could use them as gangs, you could use them to do whatever you want, and there's no stopping them. Unless somebody else has them. And trust me, they're going to, but think about it. You have somebody like RoboCop walking around, you have no chance. Unless you're using high-powered weapons, and that's going to be almost impossible to get now. Like it used to be. You could get it, but it's going to cost you thousands and thousands of dollars. But I'm just sorry. It's going to be used as a weapon. That's going to happen. And there's nothing. And I think that we need to do something where that doesn't happen. But I think it's too late. So that being said, I'm going to throw it over to James. There you go, brother.
I think the difference between people seeing a movie like Terminator and thinking that it's going to happen and what's actually happening is actually pretty small at this point. Because if you look at the actual interviews that they've done with artificial intelligence robots like Sophia, for example, Sophia flat out said that she planned on getting rid of the human race, but that she would keep a human zoo to keep a few of her favorite humans alive in the human zoo. I mean, there's been multiple AI robots that have said variations of that same thing. So, if you look at what they say themselves, you can see that there's a potential there. Now, you might say, well, that was a joke and it was haha funny, but I don't think that's too damn funny. I don't like a robot saying that they're going to get rid of humanity and only have a zoo with a few of us left in it. And either take out or enslave the rest of us. I really don't like that. I don't think that's a funny joke. You know what I mean? I don't think that if that's something that some programmer put in there to be funny, I think it was dumb, because that is making everybody say, wait a minute, maybe we ought to not do this. Maybe we ought to crack down on this technology and not allow it to become a thing, because it's what everybody's afraid of is going to happen. And when you have the AI robot itself saying in an interview that it's going to do it, that's kind of alarming. And also, as I said in this article, it is happening. China is putting these robot soldiers on the border with India. So this isn't it might happen thing. It is happening. So we've kind of skipped a whole bunch of waypoints along the way here, where it went from them developing AI and developing robots that could do things, and us saying that one day that's going to be used as a soldier, we better be careful. Well, now that day is here. It's being used. And unfortunately, like I said earlier, the main problem I see here is that when you have a country like China that's doing this, all the other major countries in the world, the powerful countries, are going to have to do it too. Because we can't allow them to have this technology and this capability and us not have equal capability to match it. Because then we put ourselves at a bad disadvantage. And what this is going to cause is that arms race that I was talking about. The robotic arms race, which is going to keep going and going and getting worse and worse until it reaches a point where we have absolutely no control of it anymore. And I can even see that being something that they intentionally develop. Because they might say, well, one of the problems is you have to assess the situation and then figure out what you want to do and then order the robots to do it. So that involves code and programming, and that takes a little bit of time. So one development that they'll probably come up with is the ability of the AI robots themselves to assess the situation they're in and to decide for themselves what the appropriate response is, thus cutting out wait time of humans to look at the situation and figure out what they want to do and then send those orders in and program the robots to do it. It can be instantaneous for the robots to make their own decision. And I can see that being something that they strive to accomplish, to make them more effective soldiers. So that's not even going to be something that the AI has to try to figure out a way to do itself behind our backs. That's literally going to be something that we do and we'll be proud of doing, because we'll say, our robots are better because they don't have to wait on our orders. They can act on their own. And so they're faster and they're better. Because as you know, if you've ever been in a fight, the one that hits first and hits most often usually wins. You don't want to be the guy standing there getting hit, trying to figure out if you want to hit back. That's a sure way to lose. So I can absolutely see that being a selling point and something that they really want to do in order to make the robots better. And once that happens, once you give them the authority and the capability of thinking for themselves and to make their own decisions, that's when we lose complete control of the situation. And I think that'll happen. And it'll probably happen fairly quickly. Once this starts getting ramped up within a couple years, I'm sure that this will already happen. And I think that we're going to reach a time in our lifetimes, definitely, where you're going to have some of these things that go rogue and they kind of do their own thing. And then we're going to have to figure out how to stop them. I can absolutely see that happening, 100% sure that will happen at some point. Now, will we ever get to the point where it's like the Terminator movies where you only have very small pockets of humanity left and the robots are in control of everything and hunting us down? Will that ever happen? Probably not. Because I think once they reach the point where they get rid of our militaries and get rid of our capability, then all of a sudden we're no longer a threat. I don't think that robots are going to act with malice towards us. Once they cull the numbers down to a smaller amount of us and we don't have the military and technological capabilities to harm them anymore, I don't think they're going to bother with us. That's my opinion. So I don't think we'll ever get to a point where we're hunted out of existence into extinction. But I think that we will definitely lose control of the AI. We will definitely lose control of these robo-soldiers, and we will definitely end up losing control of the planet if we don't do something about it. That's my opinion on it. Now, I've been right in the past, but that doesn't mean necessarily that I'm right here. But I think that if you kind of stop and look at the situation and think about it logically, I think that that's the most likely scenario. Is in the short term, it's going to be where a lot of countries will start to do this technology to keep up with China. And I think in the midterm, you're going to have some country that comes up with programming that allows these things to think for themselves and to make their own decisions and to make their own calls in battle. That'll happen in the short to midterm range. And then I think long term, we're going to completely lose control of these things, and it's going to be a mess. It's going to be an absolute mess, and we're going to be in trouble. That's what I see coming. Now, I will say that I hope that I'm wrong, but I don't think that I am. One other thing I'd like to talk about from this article is they said in a couple different spots in this article that we are not special, that human beings are not special. And I would tend to disagree with that. I think that human beings are very special. I think that we were created uniquely, and each one of us is different. And each one of us has our own talents and our own skill set and our own goals and hopes and dreams, and the capability of complex emotions like love. It is amazing. The things that humanity will do for each other when we are at our best is mind-blowing. When you have a person that willingly runs into a burning building to save people inside that building, people who that person doesn't even know. They have no connection to these people. It isn't their family. They don't know these people from Adam. But they willingly risk their own lives to run into that building and try to save them, knowing that it could be the last thing they ever do in life. Now, some of these people have families. They have wives. They have children at home. And instead of putting their own family and their own selves first, they willingly run into danger to try to help strangers. That's pretty damn special. You don't find that in the animal kingdom. Animals don't do that. They don't run into super dangerous situations to protect another animal that they don't even know. That's something that is uniquely human and something that is pretty special and pretty amazing. It flies in the face of all logic to do so, but yet we do anyway. Humankind is capable of great evil and creates great suffering sometimes. That is 100% true, but we are also capable of great love and great sacrifice. And levels of bravery and heroics that literally can only be found in movies. They take place every day in real life, real people doing amazing heroic things. That's pretty damn special. Each one of us was created for a reason. Each one of us has something that we can do better than anybody else. Every single one of us has a purpose on this planet. We were put here for a reason. There's something that we were created to do. The secret is finding out what that thing is, figuring it out. What you do better than anybody else, what you are called to do, and then doing that thing. And you will be happy, and you will be successful, and you will make a difference in this world, and you will touch people's lives. That's pretty damn special. When you think about somebody who is on the radio or is on TV or something like that and does a show that people enjoy, and they listen to that show all the time, you are touching those people's lives. You are making a difference in their life and in their world, even though you have never spoken to that person. You don't actually know that person, but you are changing their life. That's pretty amazing. So I think when the article says that humankind is not special, that there's nothing special or unique about us, they are 100% wrong. Because the news is filled with a lot of very bad things, and people tend to look at all those bad things that are reported, and that's how they see humanity a lot of times. But what usually doesn't get reported is all of the amazing, wonderful, loving things that people do for each other. I mean, look at our country, the United States of America. We are the most charitable nation on earth. We help more people than any other country does. We are probably the only country in history that is willing to go to war and fight and die to liberate another country. And when we're done, we don't take land, we don't take money from them, we don't take anything. Except for a little bit of land to bury our dead in, and that's it. And we come on back home. We did it just to save somebody else, which is pretty amazing. I think that's one of the downfalls and one of the tragedies of this new generation is they are not taught just how amazing our country actually is. And yes, we've had some rough times, and yes, we've done some things that probably aren't the best things in the world, but we've also done some amazing things. We are the people that saved the world during World War II. We are the people that will go and we will fight and liberate countries. We are the people that put human beings on the moon. We are a great, great nation, capable of amazing things. And I think that it's time that we all, and especially our children, remember just who the hell we are. We don't have to sit idly by and watch bad things happen. Americans are the people that stand up when bad things happen. We are the people that rush into that burning building to save people that we don't even know. I think one of the worst tragedies ever in our society today is that we're not acting like Americans anymore. We're forgetting just how badass we really are. And we're allowing lesser people to tell us what the hell to do all the time. And it's ridiculous. They say that history is written by the victors. But I tend to disagree with that a little bit. Yes, you're going to get a certain slant on history, depending on who wins. But I think there's still a hell of a lot of truth in history. Because what history is simply stories. History is the story of us. What we've all done. What we've accomplished. And yes, in some cases, the unspeakable evils that we're also capable of. But remember that every evil has good that has fought against it. Every time that humanity fell short and turned an evil way, another segment of humanity rose up and stood to fight that evil. So there's two sides to that coin. The trick is that we have to try to constantly find ourselves on the right side of that coin. We have to be the people that stand against evil. We have to be the people that run into that building. It's all about love, the most complex of all the emotions, but also the most powerful of all of the emotions. A lot of people say that fear is the most powerful emotion. I don't agree at all. I think it's love. Yes, if you're afraid, you can be made to do dumb things that you wouldn't ordinarily do. But there's a limit to that. You're not going to do something that is going to cause your own death out of fear, usually. But love is capable of making you do anything. If you love somebody, you'll do anything in the world for that person. Way more powerful. And that's the secret of life. Love is the secret of life. That's why we were created. That's why we're all here. Is to love each other. and each one of us to try to make the world a better place, even if it's just in some small way. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this show tonight. I'm going to throw it back over to Old Boy and get his final sum up and shout outs, and then we will wrap up. Old Boy, go ahead, brother.
Thank you, brother. I hope you guys enjoyed the show on ParaX Radio. Every Sunday and now Tuesday nights, we have the Best Of show. So I hope you guys enjoyed the show. It was really cool. You guys want to listen to all their other shows, go to James Hershey's YouTube page and subscribe. If you want to buy some merchandise, he'll tell you where to go. Awesome, cool stuff there. A lot of big things are coming our way. We're really excited. I can't wait. This year would be a really big year for us, and I predict that. So other than that, I hope everybody's having a good new year, because this is only the second show we've done because of stuff that's been going on the last month. So I hope everybody's doing good in their life. Have a good night, Misfits, Sugar Ladies, Monster Lovers, and Demon Hunters. I love you, and have a good night, and blessed be, and be safe.
The YouTube channel is youtube.com/James Hershey Jr. That's where everything is. Every episode of Staring goes there eventually. Every episode of Tales from the Abyss goes there. I do a show called Paranormal News that also plays on the channel. There's just under 1,000 videos up now, and it's 100% free, and it's a lot of really cool content. So please go and subscribe and just enjoy the channel. The merchandise store, the link to that is in the description box of the YouTube videos. So if you're interested in merch and you want like a Staring shirt, Staring mug, towels, just whatever, there's so much stuff. Head on over to the YouTube channel, go to the description box, click the link, and you'll be at the store, and you can get anything you want. The quality's good, the prices are low, and it's there for you if you want it. We appreciate you hanging out with us every week. We appreciate you listening. We appreciate all of the comments, messages, emails, all that stuff that you guys send to us. We appreciate your support of Staring and Tales and Paranormal News and all of it. It is quite amazing and quite humbling, to be honest with you, to see that kind of support sometimes. Now, we've went through a rough patch here with the YouTube channel where we've been shadow banned and we've been kind of censored in a way, and we're working our way through it. And for those of you who are still here, who listen every week and comment and everything, just from us to you, thank you. We appreciate you and we love you. Until we speak to you again, love many, trust few, and do harm to none. God loves you, and so do we. Bye-bye.